My whole life, I've always hated the concept of a salesman. To me, they were these loud, obnoxious, arrogant little imps who didn't care about you as much as what was in your pocket, the dollar. I swore I was too good to ever consider a field in sales. I, I thought I was too good for that, that I was above that. And now, 2024, I'm pursuing a lucrative career in tech sales. What's changed? Well, what I've come to realize is that we've all been brainwashed. Something about the mix of the media, the music, the dialogue, the hate of capitalism has taught us to hate sales. But to hate sales, in essence, is to hate the very same social contract which makes up the fabric of our society. What I'm trying to get through to you is that life is sales. Everyone is a salesman. Implicitly or not, everybody's participating in some form of sales. Don't believe me? I'm going to give you some damning examples. Let's say you're 18 years old, senior in high school, and you're applying to universities. What you are essentially doing is giving a pitch on why they should choose you over the next person. So how dare you be so cruel and deny Timmy the chance of going to his dream school? Okay, let's say you're out dating. You're trying to find the love of your life. What you're actively doing is selling an idea of yourself to potential partners. You are answering the question, why should I invest more time into you? And the other person is also, that question is within you as well when talking to somebody else. Is it worth pursuing this further? So how dare you take away the opportunity for Johnny to date Jessica? He's never going to get over it. I hope you know that. Even artists are salesmen. Think of your favorite movie. Now, in order for that movie to get made, a whole boatload of selling had to occur. First, somebody had to pitch the idea so somebody could fund it. And then, the director had to recruit producers, camera operators, sound designers. He had to recruit the team, convince them, hey, this is why it's worth working with me. Sometimes it's based on the project. Sometimes it's about that dollar. Oh, you want that A-list actor who takes on one movie a year to work with you? All right, you're going to have to sell him on it. Your favorite movie would not be made without sales. I hope you know that. Now, this may be an uncomfortable pill to swallow. I know nobody likes thinking that relationships, dating, the world, even family, love is transactional. It's an icky, uncomfortable pill to swallow. We'd just rather not think about it. We'd rather deny it. I know it was for me. I consider myself a creative, deep, philosophical, awesome. Yet it's always been a crisis figuring out how to make a living using these qualities. It's being philosophical isn't exactly valued in a marketplace if you want to create wealth. Like, how many rich philosophers do you know today? But then I read a sentence from renowned entrepreneur and investor Naval Ravikant. Now, if you don't know his work, he's put out a whole bunch of tweets over the years. He had a famous tweet storm that blew up back in, I believe, like 2010, 2011. And one of them was about creating wealth. This tweet in particular changed my life. Learn to sell, learn to build. If you can do both, you will be unstoppable. So this quote begged a question within me. I already knew deep down that I'm a creator. You don't have to tell me. I just do it on my own. I'm going to come up with ideas. I'm going to figure out how to create them. I'm just naturally a creator. But what's not natural for me is selling myself, monetizing it, showing people why they should care. So this begged a question within me. How good can I get at selling myself? This is where the biggest area of growth lies for me. So as I've been reflecting it, these are the principles I'm enacting to level up my own value in my life. And it starts with knowing your worth. So by selling yourself, no, I did not mean that you should sell your body, your mind, your soul to be a whore. That is exactly what somebody who doesn't know their worth would do, or believes that that's all their worth is. Before you can even begin to go out there to market yourself, you have to know your self-worth. You have to love yourself. You have to respect yourself. You have to believe in yourself first. And it all begins with what lies within. This is a non-negotiable in life, because why should anyone give a fuck about you? Even give you a glance from their busy day with all the distractions of the world, if you don't even believe in yourself, if you don't even care about yourself. The tragedy is that most of us never even give ourselves a fighting chance. We count ourselves out, accept defeat, and go home before we even walk through that front door. It's sad, man. I'll give you some examples from my life. When I was going to job interviews, I knew damn well that I was just a kid with no experience. My bachelor's degree felt useless. I had no internships, no experience shadowing professionals in the industry. I just felt highly incompetent. I knew that I was going to need time in any professional setting to provide value. Yes, I knew that I could be great. I knew I was, at least I knew I was smart, that I was intelligent. But I was realistic. I knew that I needed some time. I knew I wasn't going to be a rock star from day one. And I communicated that to my recruiters. Thought I was being humble, thought I was being realistic, showing that despite my lack of experience, I could still be a good, honest, and earnest man to work with, and that they're not going to regret giving me a chance. It is no coincidence I never got a call back. What I came to learn is that the modern idea of being humble is fucking useless in the real world. Because nobody else is being humble, really. Everybody is exaggerating, embellishing themselves a little bit. This overfixation on introspection, self-reflection, realizing your weaknesses. Yes, that has a time and place for sure. That is incredibly invaluable. But there's no benefit in broadcasting that out to the world, especially if you want to be a part of someone's organization. And often it is actually incredibly dishonest, because you don't even realize what's within you. You're actually lying to people. I realized that there was a problem. Going into these interviews, I was comparing myself, in essence, to the LeBron James of my peer group. I assumed that every time I got rejected, it's because my peers either had more experience, they had a 4.0 GPA, they had higher quality skills, they had more charisma. But the point is actually that I thought I wasn't good enough. And they did. Most people, they didn't have any of that stuff. In fact, I was more than good enough. The problem didn't lie in my quality, but that through fixating so hard on being humble, I couldn't even recognize my own quality. So therefore, if I couldn't recognize my own quality, how would the employer recognize that, hey, this would be a kick-ass dude to work with? So the moment I started shifting gears and began to recognize and believe in my own talents is the moment that things started to change for me. Now that I could recognize my worth, my competitive edge, I had to learn how to communicate that worth, because nobody can read your mind. Nobody can just get a glimpse of your spirit and be like, oh, wow, the potential. Nobody knows that. So what I really want to dive into next is important, because knowing your worth is great and all, but it is not enough if you want to create abundance for yourself in the external world. We got to go out there and show it. Simply put, your actions are always going to speak louder than words. You don't have to be all talk, all right? You can go out there and do. I'm telling you, stop moping around because you're an introvert, you're shy, you don't believe in yourself. Go out there and seize the day. Carpe diem, motherfucker. I'm telling you. Instead of just applying the jobs, set yourself apart from the crowd in outreach. So this can be as simple as, when you're applying, don't just apply, but find the recruiter's phone number, give them a call, ask about the position, connect with them. And if that's too nerve-wracking, you don't have to even do that. You can send an email. If you're someone in the tech industry, you can send an email and then just show a portfolio of what you've been working on. Here are the projects I've worked on in the past 12 months. And before you know it, these people are going to start taking notice. And what's great is that they're just going to start chasing you instead. You're going to stand out. They didn't have to find you in a mix of 500 different applicants. Instead, you're one of maybe 5 people who outreached. You see how much smaller your pool of competition is? That is a 20% chance of getting picked rather than 1 out of 500? You don't have to be an extrovert. You just need guts, courage, and most importantly, you need perseverance, because that first person you outreach to is just going to ignore you. I know from experience. But beyond outreach, there are plenty of other ways to simultaneously create and communicate value in your life. The most obvious one that comes to mind is appearance. Start to take care of your health and fitness. You're not only going to start to feel great about yourself, but it is also an action that communicates to the people, to the world, that you are somebody who cares about their life. Now, I could go into an entire video about looks maxing, fitness, weightlifting, style, your aura, but we got more important stuff to move on to here. Because unlike appearance, which is limited to your genetics, knowledge is an infinite, lifelong quest. It is always going to be valuable to learn more, and there's no cap to it. But you may ask, where do I even begin? There's so much out there. Where do I even start? This person says to learn this. This person says to do this. Well, again, don't even worry about that. I'm going to show you some more quotes from Naval Ravikant, Creating Wealth, which gave me a lot of clarity on this. Arm yourself with the specific knowledge, accountability, and leverage. Specific knowledge is knowledge you cannot be trained for. If society can train you, it can train someone else and replace you. Specific knowledge is found by pursuing your genuine curiosity and passion rather than whatever is hot right now. Building specific knowledge will feel like play to you, but will look like work to others. End quote. Here, Naval shows us how we can build valuable knowledge that will also serve you and your unique competitive advantage, right? Because we're all unique. We all have something to offer. And even if you don't think you have something to offer, it's because you just haven't recognized it. You haven't figured it out, or you're in the process. Don't overthink it. Follow your North Star. Follow your curiosity. Read the books, take the courses, attend the seminars which spark your interest. If I recommend the book and you don't give a fuck about it, don't read it. If somebody who's, let's say, somebody you respect, some billionaire recommends this book, this is the secret to my wealth, and you read about 50 pages and you're like, yo, I don't get any of this, then just drop it, okay? Like, this book, if you don't give a fuck about it, it's useless to you if it doesn't speak to you. And what's beautiful is that everything I'm talking about, it all feeds into each other. To know your self-worth, to communicate your self-worth, to continuously create that worth. These are all linked. As you do one, it's going to affect the other. It's going to have a positive impact on the rest. But remember, likewise, you should never completely neglect one, or else you're going to stagnate and sometimes even regress. Now, these are things which are always in flux. Sometimes you're going to regress, sometimes you're going to stagnate. You know, we're constantly changing human beings. Your worth a year ago is not going to be the same as your worth today. It's never going to be static. Which is why there's one last thing I want to share with you, because honestly, this might be the most important principle in this video that just needs to be said. Never limit yourself based off a perceived identity. And this part, I'm just going completely off script. So what do I mean by this? I mean that what we think of ourselves, our ego, our identity, it's often based off of a story that we told about ourselves. Now, sometimes this is a recurring story. This happened over and over and over again. Like, let's say for myself, like, I've struggled with women in my life. So now there's a story. Oh, I've struggled with women in my life. But sometimes that story can just be based off one instance. And before you know it, that instance just becomes your identity. And then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, maybe if I was younger and I thought I'm great with women, then I wouldn't have that problem today. You know, what we think of ourselves, what our limitations are, at least mentally, it's so much more limitless than we all think. Physically, you know, I'm 24 years old. I'm never going to grow taller. That's just the physical limitations. No, I'm not going to get those things. I'm not going to get lifts in my body genetically modified. I don't trust that. You get what I mean. So never limit yourself in that way, because, you know, for me, what it took was I constantly needed the people around me to show me, hey, you could be good at this. And sometimes, the first time it wouldn't break through, you know? Maybe I needed to hear it 5 times, maybe 20 times, maybe 100 times. And just the culmination of all of it and maybe some life experiences caused a shift. And that's why now today, I'm going into sales. I know I'm going to be so fucking good at this. I'm going to be a top % performer. And I'm not just going to read what Naval said, be like, oh, that's so cool, that's so wise. We're putting that into action. I already know how to create. And yes, I could use some refinement, okay? I'm not saying I'm a god at creating. But I already know it's just within me to improve at that over time. But sales, communicating, these things don't come natural to me. I'm shy by nature, so I gotta work on that. That's the end of it. That's all I gotta say. Subscribe for more kick-ass videos. I'm just getting started. Peace.